Well, now on the show, let's talk about cleaning your home in a more effective manner than you probably are today. Now, I don't just mean cleaner, but I mean more convenient as well. We've seen robot vacuum cleaners for quite some time now. So when we see a new model come out, we want to know what's new, what's different, how is it better? Geoff Quattromani, tech expert, friend of the show, joins us to talk about the Deebot Ozmo T8 AIVI. How are you, Geoff?
I'm well, Charlie. How are you?
I'm good now. I'm just back from holidays, and the idea of having a clean home when I come home to it, especially after being on leave, is obviously an attraction. But also being able to remotely see what's going on inside the home in different rooms is an attraction as well. I understand the Deebot can do both those things for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, anyone who doesn't have a robot vacuum yet don't know a lot of what these things can now do. And, the biggest point you mentioned is you could have been on your way home from your holiday and you say, look, I'm just going to get the house clean before I get home. And this particular model can mop as well as vacuum. So on the front, you've got the little vacuum feature, and then behind it is a pad that rubs the floor with small droplets of water to keep the floor completely clean. So you've got this perfectly clean home, hopefully when you do get back. And with 3-hour battery life, you'd think that the little bin inside it is going to fill up much before the vacuum itself, runs out of battery life, which is another good thing. So I think as a cleaning device, you're pretty lucky that when you get home, everything should be done for you in that way.
I've seen some brands, and they don't really map your house. They just kind of go back and then change and then move a bit and then go back on the same sort of line again and back and forth. That's rubbish to me. I want something that actually learns my home and the rooms and gets better over time. Will we see that here?
Yeah, absolutely. So this has got a couple of features to do that. The first of all is almost a laser guided mapping system where it navigates your entire home and you essentially end up with a perfect floor plan on your smartphone. And then with that, you can separate areas. So I could label where the kitchen is and have that as a special space so that I could then actually either in the app tell the vacuum to go and clean my kitchen, or even talk to my smart home and say, ask the vacuum to go and clean the kitchen. And it will then head off to go and do that because it knows where it is. And the other benefit there too is barriers. So if you've got an area where you don't really want the vacuum to go, you just draw a line on your floor plan in the app and it won't go there anymore. So that Ecovacs do well. The other part you mentioned too is objects. Now, a lot of us do leave things on the floor, and if you've got kids, they're pretty likely to leave their shoes on the floor. And if the vacuum's trying to clean, a lot of older vacuums would just run over them and try and make their way around it or over it. This particular model will identify those objects, and actually to the point that it knows if it's a pair of socks or if it's a pair of shoes that you've left on the floor, and it marks that. And what it then does is remember that, maybe next time someone will have moved those shoes, so I'll know to focus on that area again and come back to it, not thinking it's just a permanent obstacle. So it's a really interesting way it recognizes objects and actually makes sure it comes back to make up for those spaces it's missed.
Now we talk about cleaning, but these robot vacuum cleaners have gotten so much better than where they originally started off, which was just more of a automated floor sweeper. I mean, they actually can clean your home to the point where you probably, especially if you've got a hardwood floor home or a hardwood surface home, to the point where you probably couldn't tell the difference between somebody physically vacuuming it and this robot actually doing it for you, right?
Look, it does a very good job. And the one thing that I'll say to that, because a lot of people will say that they still need to have a vacuum for weekends or something like that. But what I do answer that with is with a robot vacuum, because you're not doing it yourself, you can actually get it to go every day, or you can get it to vacuum every second day. And eventually, even if it has missed things in that first way of going through, the next day it's going to pick that up. So you could choose to manually vacuum once a week or twice a week, or you can get your robot to do it for you every day. And even if it does almost half as good of a job, eventually it's going to add up and catch everything. So that's one of the things I do like. Those two front sweepers that do sit on the front, job in actually bringing all that other particles into the would be that if you've got a lot of mess, that little compartment does need to be emptied probably on a daily or at least 2 days after use.
Okay, very good. Now, look, just another feature of it, it's not just cleaning, it's home security, right? I've been away for a few days here myself. Checked my security cameras while I was out. It'd be good as well to be able to check some different rooms in the house if I wanted to remotely. I can do that with the Deebot as well.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that that camera that does sit on the front to recognize those objects is actually a camera that you can tap into. So from your smartphone in the app, you can take control, almost like a remote control car. You can drive your vacuum around the house looking through that camera. And, you could drive it to the front door, just make sure it was closed, or that if you've forgotten something, you can check where it actually is. But if you do have pets at home, a great way to entertain them, because you can actually talk back through the vacuum. It's got a little speaker inside and a microphone, so you could hear and engage with your pets, or even your kids if they've just come back from school. Drive the vacuum into their room, make sure they're doing their homework. I mean, it can be a bit creepy, but it can also be quite a bit of fun, I think.
I think you'd have some fun freaking out the cats in my house with that one. From the company that says it's a robotic company first and a vacuum company second, the Deebot Ozmo T8 AIVI. Are these available now? Can we just go and buy them anywhere?
Available now at JB Hi-Fi for sure. $12.99 is the price. Now, with that, I will say that if you don't need some of those features, the good thing is Ecovacs and other brands have more cut down models. So you can really spend about $500 to get a similar product. But then when you start to bolt on things like object recognition, the video camera feature and others, or even the mopping, those things tend to cost more. And that's why you do get that $12.99 price point.
All right, very good. And one final tip. Don't encourage your cat to go and sit on top of them.
No,
the
or your son.
Of them. Yeah, or your son. It just doesn't last as long if you get them to do that. Deebot Ozmo T8 AIVI, a good bit of kit for cleaning your home and some internal security as well. Geoff Quattromani, tech expert and friend of the show. Thank you for joining us once again this week.
Thank you, Charlie.